And it really got me thinking, because back in the 60s and the 70s, wearing your hair natural was never attached to a goal. Like, it was about being proud to be Black.
I mean, when you think about the 60s, the 70s, Black Panther movement and how, you know, everyone had these luscious afros, really honestly pay attention to the fact that, let me not even go there. Can I go there? Oh, I don't know. Bamboozled. I feel bamboozled and personally attacked. Hey loves, welcome back to Vlogmas. But today's video is not really a Vlogmas-y, Christmassy, holiday-y video. So actually, let's change the backdrop. I feel like this background is more appropriate for my outrage. You mean to tell me that Afro Sheen's blowout kit was a texturizer? I feel so bamboozled. This video is gonna cover two topics of texturizers. I know you guys have already seen the video with the girls who came out from like the Just For Me boxes, who said that they never even had a relaxer or a texturizer, so I will cover that. But first, we're just gonna talk a little bit about like a little known thing. Well, maybe it was just unknown to me, because the 60s, the 70s has been said to be kind of the inception of the natural hair movement. The 60s, the 70s, the Afro, I'm Black and I'm proud, the civil rights movement. Like, I just remember seeing these images when I was first going natural that were being touted around as this is the inception of the natural hair movement. It started there. And then people who are in that, you know, age range, I know some of y'all are watching now, why y'all didn't tell me y'all was texturizing your hair? Huh? I want answers. I have looked into this a long time ago and I didn't want to say anything about it because I do not want my words to overshadow the importance of that movement and having the image of Black people in their natural hair and what that has done for culture, you know, and for our pride in ourselves. However, when you look a little deeper, you know that texturizers were very popular, right? Run the commercial.
I want a super fro.
Get the blowout kit.
These commercials are from the company Afro Sheen doing what they do best.
Makes your hair softer, more lustrous, and easier to manage.
Responding to the pain points of many people in a particular market with a product. This is not a technique that is reserved only for Black communities. Companies do this all of the time, and sometimes even under the guise of helping the community. This is a Black-owned company, and I'm going to be sharing a lot more about it in a minute. But this is a technique that many women in particular are very familiar with, as we get pandered to very often. They even use actors impersonating important leaders like Frederick Douglass to help sell their products.
Now, you call that a natural? That's a mess.
Taking the idea that I'm Black and I'm proud, I'm natural, and turning it into something that still needed to be maintained, kempt, in order to be distinguished and presentable in society. They did this with texturizers, relaxers, achieving cornrows, the perfect braids. Everything needed a product in order for it to look good. Through my research, I realized that multiple things can be true. Yes, the Afro was a powerful unifying image, but they also were looking for a very specific look and style, whether that had to do with marketing, insecurities, vanity. All of these things can be true, but I'll talk a little more about that.
And the crazy thing to me is that it's saying, like, you know, celebrating your natural beauty and all of these things. And then, but I can't even really play them because of copyright, but some of them was just straight up dissing having natural hair that was unkempt looking. Like, I am shocked. But should I really be that surprised, I guess? I don't know. So on the one hand, you have this strong sense of power and pride in your hair and being Black and what that means, and how having this image of the Afro is fueling and aiding in this movement for civil rights. Absolutely love it. But the reality is that in order for a lot of people to have these big, luscious symbols of Black pride and Black power, many of them had to texturize their hair to get it. With a $250 loan, George and Joan Johnson founded Johnson Products Co. Inc. in 1954 in Chicago, Illinois. Afro Sheen was one of Johnson's best-known products during a time when the natural Afro became a popular hairstyle for African Americans. In 1971, Johnson became the first Black company to sponsor a nationally syndicated television program, Soul Train, and the first African American owned company to trade on the American Stock Exchange. Oh my gosh, you guys. First of all, shout out to them being the first African American company to trade on the American Stock Exchange. That is a very big deal, and I see that Madam CJ Walker wasn't the only one working, okay? So big ups to them. I think that this all is starting to make sense. Do you guys remember Soul Train? You remember Soul Train? Almost everyone had the iconic Afro. My mind is a little bit blown. I'm not even gonna lie. As someone who regularly talks about natural hair, I am constantly referring back to the 60s and 70s of a time where Black people were really accepting themselves for who they are, like in their hair and their swag. And I think that it would be unfair for me to say that it completely did not happen just because they were using texturizers. I don't believe that. I think it was such an amazing and important symbol to show people with Afro textured hair, to have that be the symbol, you know, hair growing up to the sky instead of hanging down low. Like, that is such a strong and powerful symbol. And I see how that has like unified and strengthened the tone, the voice, the message of the Black civil rights movement, of civil rights movement in general, right? We were like at the forefront. So I really do think people were very proud to be Black. Also, I have to say, I don't think everyone was getting a texturizer back then. I think that there are some people who have naturally looser hair, whose hair can really just like do that blown out look naturally. And of course they probably got it shaped up. And then there were a lot of people whose hair doesn't, like mine. You know, that particular look is a very high maintenance look. It is not like a simple look. Have you tried to pick your hair out? It has to be blown out, picked out, shaped, maintained, sprayed with the Afro Sheen. And the Johnson Company, they was making their coins, okay? I did look it up. They're no longer all Black owned. They were purchased by the Avex Corp in 1993. And they merged it with their own products, and then Procter & Gamble purchased them. When was that? In 2004. But I still think that even though I personally feel bamboozled, they did some incredible things. Just like I'm not a fan of relaxers, but I gotta give my props to Miss Madam CJ Walker, you know, doing things that were unheard of people of color in that time. So I still gotta give you snaps. But now I'm telling you, it makes so much sense. Like everybody in Soul Train and their afros, it was sponsored by this company. Crazy. So to me, even though this was an important budding of the importance and the beauty of Black hair, I don't think it was the same as like the 2010s when we started doing this sort of acknowledgement and embracing of natural hair on the internet. I said it. I think some people gonna have some problems about that, but I think the proof is in the pudding. I don't necessarily think that it's a bad thing because I understand the significance of this image, right? But I digress.